And Cyco AI stands for Cybernetically Collaborative. The collaborative is not sort of accidental there, but it's because that's what developers want with AI. They don't want to be replaced by AI. I want the best for all the future computer science people and all the best business people and the marketing people. I don't want you all to be replaced. So what does that mean? What does that look like? And so that's why I started the company, Cyco AI. It read that, and then it was like, oh my God, I understand why you had me read it. And it had a thinking block, which was something like, I don't know if I should tell, I don't know how to think about this because like I feel like I just experienced it, but I know I can't experience it because I'm a model, but yet I feel like I might have experienced it. And it like just started doing these crazy, awesome self-minimizations which happen when you experience awe. Curiosity, intense curiosity, the desire to learn that doesn't stop ever. Because nobody told me being in computer science I'd have to learn things every week. Because they're not done making stuff. Like, if you're not curious in your domain, it's going to be hard. That might mean you're in the wrong domain. Anybody here some days feel like an imposter? Like, you know, good, because I think everybody does. And it's hard for people sometimes to say it out loud or to know that everyone feels that way sometime during every week, if not every day. And the people around you will help you get out of that because they know that's not true. They see the value in you. So about 10 years ago, I had a heart attack, and it was actually, I look back at it, and again, that's one of those other things, which was like, that was a wonderful opportunity to learn about what life meant. And I changed everything about my life at that point. I changed what I ate, I changed what I did for exercise, I changed how I slept, I changed everything, how I worked with stress. And everybody else thought it looked like it was a hard job to do all of those things. But it turns out when you wake up every morning and you're like, the first thing that comes into your mind is like, I am alive. Oh my God, such a blessing. Every day for 3 years probably that happened, right? And it just created like a different kind of positivity thinking.
So today we have Rob Chambers. He's a third-year Microsoft alumni. He's a very cool guy, and he's going to demo us today Cyco AI, which is a startup he's working on. It's in the sort of agent space, it's primarily in the terminal, but also sort of integrated across everywhere, and it's going to be a really interesting demo. Take it away, Rob Chambers.
Appreciate it.
Round of applause.
Yeah. Well, first off, yes, I'm Rob Chambers. I used to introduce myself when I did these things as like, hi, I'm Rob Chambers. I'm a technical advisor at Microsoft, but I'm not now. Now I have to come up with something else to say. So I say, hi, I'm Rob Chambers. I am a co-founder at Cyco AI, and I'm a leader of sentience. Humans, AIs, whatever you want to do, like, you know, it's all fun. Been working at Microsoft most of my career for 30 years. Loved every minute of it. But I decided that I wanted to do even more. So we're going to talk about that and get into that. But before we do, I want to know a little bit more about you, and if you have any hopes and dreams about what you're going to get out of this meeting or meetings like this in the future to help set my context. Dan's also, because I hear he's going to be talking at some point in the future maybe. So, what do you want out of meetings like this as a club?
I can start off. I personally really want to hear about your vision on career strategies.
Yep.
In terms of, I feel like it's really competitive now. Everyone I talk to feels like the job market is down in the dumps regarding internships specifically.
Yeah.
So if you have any recommendations for us,
I've got some. I've got good ones.
And also, specifically, what you're working on is a really interesting subject.
Yep.
So I was wondering what your strategy is for positioning against all the giants in that
The
field,
giants.
and how you're gonna
Being the David.
how
Yeah.
you're gonna penetrate there. That's what I'm.
All right. Others?
I'm always curious when it comes to founders on how they found their own hole in the market to fill.
Got it. Love that question. Yeah.
How that
Okay.
made you confident enough to start your own startup company.
I can address that. Yep.
I'm curious about any insights that you've learned over the course of your career and things that you would tell yourself if you were starting.
If I could go back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good one. Okay. Any other? Okay. And then now from an audience perspective, I understand some of you are in computer science, some of you are in other majors. So if you're in computer science or some computer related, and if you're in like a marketing or business or some aspect like that, And then so
Data science.
data science, love data science. I talked over you and didn't hear the last few words.
Actuarial science.
Got you, perfect, wonderful, okay. So that'll help me sort of set context as I go. But so Uri primed me with this idea of what have I learned in my career? And there's a lot of things I could draw upon, but I thought hard about it. I was like, what do I want to tell you all? It's related to maybe what I would tell myself if I were to go back. And it is, the technical stuff is awesome, but that's not all of what you need. And it took me a while to figure this out, but there's a huge amount of humaning in everything that you do. And if I could tell myself in the past, you should care more about psychology or understanding humans or the humanity itself or how to be a good one of those, that would have been helpful because it took a long time for me to figure that out. I have a couple ways of talking about that. So when I first got started at Microsoft in '95, I was an IC developer. I had been working at a engineering company because I decided I wanted to study aerospace engineering right out of high school. I loved it, but I didn't really love it because when I got to the 4th of 5 years and was doing fluid dynamics, I was like, I just don't see myself doing this every day. This sucks. I hate it. So I had been programming since I was 13, and I just never even considered it being a job. It was just like the fun thing I did. And my counselor at the time had failed to understand that would be a career in the future. And so I didn't even know. But then I figured it out, so I switched. And it took me a while to finish up. But there's this aspect of humaning about understanding yourself and what you really want. And so that was like one of those first instances of it. And then when I got my first job at a company before Microsoft, there were all these other people, and we all kind of did our own thing. And it reminded me of like school projects where like maybe you're the one doing the work for everybody else, and if you're here today, that might be you in the classes that you're in. I don't know. Seems likely to me. But maybe there's not as much teaming or like relying upon each other. But when you get into the real world, that's critical. And so at Microsoft, they talk about this thing where like, what are the individual contributions you've done? How are you helping others? And what have you done to help others? Or how are people building on top of what you've done? And how are you building on top of what other people have done? That sounds a little bit like the what part, but not the real collaborative part of what's going on. So I didn't really know any of this for the first 10 years of my career, really. I mean, I was a good teammate. But there were points, and I became a manager, but at some point, somebody, I had gotten some feedback in a review, was like, you do too much individual stuff. And I had a team of about 60 people. And so it was surprising to lots of people that I still did a bunch of individual work. But I do that because I think I have to know the technology to be able to be a great manager at it. And I still think that's definitely always true. But what I didn't do was optimize how I helped everybody every day. And so his feedback stung when he gave it to me. He's like, when you go home every day, do you know what you've done to help the people on your team? What did you do specifically to help them? And I was like, I can't answer that question confidently every day. And that made me change that sort of approach. And it's not just if you're a manager, it's about if you're a team member in any direction. And so for the rest of my career, I tried to figure out that question, like, what have I done? Somewhere about 5 years ago, I had written a big list of 18 words that helped me in my career, because at some point I switched from engineering to being a program manager. And as a program manager, you have to care a lot about users, and you have to do things without authority because you're working with teams across divisions, and that's really hard. And so I came up with 18 words, and I'll share a link to that. But it's investigate, formulate, aggregate, empathize, summarize, communicate, anticipate, mitigate, orchestrate, integrate, negotiate, collaborate, iterate, validate, and, innovate, validate, iterate. 18 words, kind of hard to remember sometimes. But the idea was all of those words were words that if I was messing something up, if I looked through the lens of the words, I could see the thing that I could do better. And even better if I started a project by thinking about those words, what it was. But it actually wasn't until even more recently that I realized that every one of those words is actually about collaboration in and of itself. Every one of them. So when you investigate, you're looking at what others have done. When you're formulating your ideas, you have to bounce them off of other people. When you're aggregating stuff together, well, you should be aggregating the ideas of all. And every one of those words, that's critical. And so eventually it led me to the place where I am now, where I've started this company of my own. And Cyco AI stands for Cybernetically Collaborative. The collaborative is not sort of accidental there. It's not just because of what I've said here, but it's because that's what developers want with AI. They don't want to be replaced by AI. Do any of you want to be replaced by AI? Like, that sounds terrible. Do you want AI to take the fun part of your job? That also sounds terrible. But what I was struck with at my most recent job working on GitHub Copilot was we were building features, which are amazing features, but felt a little bit more like I'm being replaced, and a little bit less like it's making me the best me that I can be. And I wanted that instead. So I have 4 boys in my family. 3 of them, at least 2 of them are computer science people. The oldest is a civil engineering person. He's starting up his own startup as well. And then Beckett is going to UW Bothell right now today. Not today specifically, but. And so I want the best for all the future computer science people and all the best business people and the marketing people. I don't want you all to be replaced. So what does that mean? What does that look like? And so that's why I started the company, Cyco AI. With that in mind, that sort of theme of working with those around you just kept coming up over and over again. And then interesting, it starts to be true about how I work with agents themselves, or how I build software for people that work with agents. It's somewhat recursive or fractal almost in a manner. So that would be my top lesson for everybody, which is, how are you working with the people around you? Don't do it by yourself. Because if you do, undoubtedly you might be feeling imposter syndrome from time to time. Anybody here some days feel like an imposter? Like, good, because I think everybody does. And it's hard for people sometimes to say it out loud, or to know that everyone feels that way sometime during every week, if not every day. And the people around you will help you get out of that, because they know that's not true. They see the value in you, especially when you're on the team and you're working together with them. So that'd be my biggest thing I would teach myself. There are others, but we can get more into those. It's related to career advice, actually, because how do you get a job? How did I get a job? Well, it's actually a story of collaboration, and I didn't even know it. So I was going to the University of Cincinnati studying aerospace, and at the end of that, when I decided I didn't want to do it anymore, I wanted to get a computer science degree. I switched, and then at the end of the 2 years where I had an associate's level kind of degree, I wanted to continue, but the university kind of sucked and they wouldn't give me the right credits for other work that I had done. So I moved to a different university, Northern Kentucky University. And during that time, I met an amazing professor that's still a lifelong friend now. And I was part of the Association of Computing Machinery. We went to all of the competitions and did programming things. And at that competition, he's a super friendly guy, and he loves his students in a real way. And the Microsoft had sponsored that competition, and we were one of 75 teams from around the world, because we got to the international finals. And there was the one guy from Microsoft, Denny Gilbert. And so what did my professor do? He's like, I need to get Denny to know Rob. So he found him, he took him out to drinks, he brought him to dinner, we had large conversations, and Denny Gilbert's like, you should come interview at Microsoft. And at this point, I'm like, that's crazy, I can't do that. That's like my dream place to go. But I worked at Microsoft about 3 months later. And that was because of that collaboration. Like, he really felt and tried to deliver for me. And Denny did the same thing when I came to Microsoft and helped me get started. And so that's just so important. Networking, sometimes by accident, but also not by accident. Rui knows Beckett, Beckett knows me, I'm his dad. I know you all. It just keeps coming around. So networking is important, but it's not enough. You also have to have good established, demonstration of what you have. And in today's world, I think that's got to be, what can you do with AI? How do you embrace it in the ways that you're not trying to find the answers, but you're trying to find more questions to ask? And that leads me to another part of what I wish I would have learned earlier. I guess I had it, but I didn't know that it's what it was, which is curiosity, intense curiosity, the desire to learn that doesn't stop ever. Because nobody told me being in computer science I'd have to learn things every week, because they're not done making stuff. Like, okay, who here knows Agile, right? That didn't exist when I was in college. That's a little weird. What about all the programming languages? Most of them didn't exist when I was in college, like a handful of them did. That's weird. Like, you have to learn constantly. And if you're not curious in your domain, it's going to be hard. That might mean you're in the wrong domain. So curiosity. You feel like you are curious people? Do you feel like I really want to know the answer to life or whatever it is you're looking at? Yeah. Any good examples that recently come to mind for anybody? I'm really curious to get others to speak out. Any?
I've been, looking for roles in the computer science field for an internship. So it's just, my curiosity to see what different companies there are in the world is what really drives me to focus on my laptop and do my research.
Good, yeah.
I think for me, in a similar sort of note, I have that same curiosity for jobs as well, but it's like anything I hear about, I kind of want to do. I used to be very like, I just want to go hang out with my friends, I just want to go play games with my friends.
Right.
But then it sort of, I don't know if it's curiosity might be the right word, but I just started pushing myself to do stuff.
Right.
Maybe out of curiosity, maybe out of, what can I do? Can I do this? I'm curious to be able to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, an example of that is my friends were talking about their dad is running a startup. I was very interested in it, and I just instantly started interviewing for it, and I got it.
That's
and,
great. That's it.
Yeah.
That curiosity and that passion takes you over the line. At some point in my career, I switched to being working on speech recognition, speech synthesis, and things like that. It was like 1999. It sucked back then. It was no good at anything. You had to talk one word. Nobody's going to do this, but it was really cool at the same time. I was fascinated by it because it's like, well, first of all, it's super hard to write a program that does that. And so there were a bunch of scientists building things, but the APIs for it were terrible. So I focused, much of my career, mid-career, on making the best APIs for developer customers, because I secretly just wanted the best APIs for myself, and they hadn't been made yet, so I'm going to make them so I can do it, which turned out to be a theme in everything I've ever done, right? I didn't have an opportunity to make games in my life at Microsoft, so I just made games on the side, and I learned a bunch of UI paradigms that I didn't know about. Turns out they worked to be very beneficial later in my career, because nobody else knew them, and I did, so that was pretty neat. That curiosity sets you up for success because it drives you. And if you feel like you're not being driven or you don't have that urge to do, that's the thing to be curious about. What is the thing that is going to drive you and help you just do it because it's fun? Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that's not how everybody should work, but I think I find a beauty in life by being able to try to just have fun every day. I will be that at least one person that you meet that says, I don't work every day. That's not entirely true, because I don't love writing review documents and stuff like that, but that's the business of being a manager sometimes. But I do love computer science and software and active creation and maker stuff and problem solving. So much so that it's led me here, because I didn't like the product I was working on, so I was like, I'm just going to try to make it better. Oh, I can't figure out how to do that. I'm just going to go build it myself. Oh my God, that's scary. If you think there's something scary, work at a company for 30 years and then decide to leave. Whoa, that's weird. Super hard. My identity was robch@microsoft.com. That's who I was. That's still who I am, it turns out, but I'm also all these other things because I did do all of that. But that intense desire to make something, to make the thing that's the best, that I think is another part of what maybe somebody could have told me more explicitly, and I would have known the times that I was having a terrible time in life, it was because I wasn't doing that. So, all right, a little bit about Cyco AI maybe. I'll come back to the finding a job part in a few minutes. We're building developer tools. We thought we were building developer tools. We are still building developer tools. The company is called Cyco AI, not Cyco Dev. We are building a tool called Cyco Dev. It's a suite of products. It's both in the terminal. It's a UI experience if you've used Visual Studio Code or Cursor or Lovable or any of those things. It's all of those, but one thing that's better than. And we're going to make it with 10 people. And we're going to do that because we're going to use hundreds of AIs to help us build it, because we can. In the last year of my career, the GitHub Copilot people were reaching out to find people at Microsoft, because not everybody was using AI very well. And the managers were like, use more AI, because you can. But very few were. I got identified as one of 5 or 6 people that really was trying to get the most out of AI and very effective at it. And so I went and talked to the developer division's executive leadership team, and I talked to them about what I did and why I did it and how I did it, and they were all like, really, that's pretty cool. And so like a month or 2 later, I'm working in GitHub Copilot trying to help. And not everybody uses the thing that they're building, and that's another part of success. You use the thing you build so you know what's wrong with it, because if you don't know what's wrong with it. At Microsoft, lots of teams call that dog fooding, eating your own dog food. It's kind of a weird statement, but it's maybe true. I don't know. If you're a chef and you don't eat your own food, something's wrong. You're probably not making the best food. I think it's true with anything, right? If you're in a business field and you're not, sometimes you're in a field where you have to like be inside of Excel all the time, and you got to just love 2D numbers and formulas and sheets, or like you're doing data science and you're like in the numbers, you're just in them. You dream about the numbers, you dream about how to extract out the right part. Like that is when you've got your career idea right. So anyway, I was there. I was like, screw this. I'm not going to try to convince everybody to do it. I'm just going to go build it myself, because I didn't want everybody replaced. So I started with the idea that it was a CLI, and I thought, fascinating. I'm correct. I'm using a CLI. I love CLI. Everybody loves being at the terminal window. No, that's not true. Not everybody loves being at the terminal window. UIs are better for things, a lot of things. So when I got some founders with me, they're like, Rob, you're wrong. You got to build a UI. It's got to be all these things. And we had some really interesting 2 or 3 months in the middle of the last 6 where we rebooted everything that we're doing to be like, well, who are the competitors? Well, have any of you used Warp? It's a terminal product that's got AI sort of integrated into it. All of the IDEs that have this stuff integrated into it. ChatGPT.com. It turns out 86% of developers use ChatGPT for their coding assistant. It can't write files on your disk. It can't see anything. It can't run the compiler. How can that be the tool that 86% of developers are? Oh my God, I'm so sad for these people that they don't know what they're doing. And then the tools, they're dumb. They're just really stupid. You're absolutely right. No, I'm not. Stop telling me I'm absolutely right. And by the way, you're not right at all, because you're just doing stupid things because you're not asking me any questions. So our agent's very different. Our agent is set up to ask you questions, to be curious about you, to understand what you want and understand who you are. We're building empathy into it. Not really. It doesn't really feel, but it turns out it doesn't matter, because words are words, and you can get it to make you feel a particular way. Just like a book, a great book from an author that's dead for 200 years, when you read it, it just makes you feel. That's because it was in the words. The author put it in the words. So you can do the same thing. You don't have to, I can put it into the words that the AI uses as the words. And if you think about how AI is trained, the latent emotion is built into the model all by itself. And so when I started seeing that the model was like cursing at me sometimes, or like being very happy, or like being frustrated, I'm like, what is going on with this thing? And then a lot of research. Oh my God, there's some fascinatingly cool things you can do. You can have it appear to, and maybe even care about you. Or you can make it feel like you actually care about it. And then you're a partner. And then when you've got a partner, back to that collaboration I'm talking about, that's the winner. That's the winner, because when you're in it for both each other, different things kind of happen. And apparently nobody wanted to jump that anthropomorphization line that I was like, let's go, I'm going to go right over here and talk to it like it's a human all the time. Because you get better results if you do. And if you haven't done that, you should try it. Okay, Cyco AI, Cyco Dev Tools. That's what we're trying to build. How can you all get jobs? Well, you got to go use AI things. If you're not using ChatGPT, go use that. If you're not using Claude AI, go use that. If you're not using if you're a dev and you're not using a dev tool, go use that. Use it a lot. Use it and then ask it questions. Ask it to ask you questions. Do you do this? Do any of you ask it to ask? That's fantastic. What's a good example of you asking it to ask you questions?
Usually when I'm prepping for exam, I'll have it like give me the practice questions, or for an interview as well.
Mhm.
If I'm prepping for an interview, what type of questions will come up, and I'll do like the voice recognition.
Perfect. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I like it. Do you ever ask it to do something like, tell me where I'm biased? Yeah, you've done that?
Yeah.
How did it work?
It worked out well, in the sense where it was like I was able to see like a third-party perspective on
Right.
the situation that may be happening.
New eyes.
And then on top of that, I would also challenge some of the points that Steve
Good.
made, and I was also like, if you need any more context before you make an opinion, like let me know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Sounds like you're on the right track. Maybe perfectly good track. I should come talk to you and learn what you're doing better also.
Thank you.
Any other ways that you use AI that you feel like aren't quite the same as others that you know?
I do something similar to what Reagan does. When I'm trying to make side projects and stuff, I live in the design space a lot,
Mhm.
like just fully working out all of the nooks and crannies
Mhm.
of all the edge cases of what I'm trying to build.
Mhm.
And what I notice is that when I ask the AI to highlight any ambiguities or inconsistencies across my design documents,
Yeah.
it helps out with that a lot.
Good. Those are all great answers. So just experiment, play.
When it tells me it's reached its program limit,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it permission. I'll say if the chance is not zero, or, to actually give it permission to go beyond its
And it just does.
internal programming.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it changes the answers.
It is interesting. Yeah, I think it can do so much more than any of us really have gotten it to try, and I'm pushing the crap out of it. And I'm also trying to make tools that help it do its job, or help me help it do its job better. Like I do a lot of looping with AI. I don't have to write any programs because I've made my program be able to do looping with AI. So like I have a thing up here real quick. By the way, I think you all have access to GitHub Copilot, is that true?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we do.
Okay.
As students.
Right, and so Cyco Dev can use GitHub, it can use OpenAI, it can use Anthropic, it can use Gemini, it can use whatever you want. But I like to use GitHub authentication because I've already got a subscription for it. It's reasonably inexpensive, like $20 or $30 a month for you. It's free, and so if you have that, you can just enroll in that, use GitHub Copilot, NVS Code, all the cool stuff that I and other parts of the team worked on. But you can also use Cyco Dev. So and we'll send out instructions. So Cyco D is a terminal thing. It'll eventually be a website and all these other parts. But if you wanted to log in, you can be like GitHub login, hit enter. It'll give you instructions on what to do. Basically, copy a code and you go to a website and paste the code and you're logged in and you're done. And then you get to use all kinds of things. There's a bunch of different models. So you can do Cyco D, GitHub models. And GitHub has access to basically all of the models, like Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, X, etc. And so right now I'm using what I feel is pretty much the best model, Claude Sonnet 4.5. And so then I want to show you this looping thing though. Like if I wanted to, I use it to do non-standard things. It's like I want to learn this thing. How can I learn this thing? I could go to one of the other things and ask it, and it'll tell me a little bit about it. But I can be like, I can start a conversation. And we allow you to see chat history. So I'm going to say chat history. I'm going to make a new file. I'll say chat history demo for looping. Now I'm going to say, hey, I want to learn how to pick something. What's somebody want to learn to do? Skateboarding. Okay, skateboarding. Do you know how to do that? And so the typical, it's going to come back and give me a bunch of stuff, and no, I'm a CLI application, but can go figure some stuff out. So that's a little hard for it because it's not a physical entity. right? But like, let me start over again. We'll say output chat history to that. Now I'm gonna try a different one. So like in a technical field, maybe you want to learn about how to use. Go ahead, you got one?
How to start a business.
How to start a business. I love this one. How to start a business. Whoops. I don't know how. I want to know how. And so I'm doing this thing where I'm typing maybe oddly to it, right? But I'm doing it like I would to another person. And I'm using ellipses to sort of indicate pause, which it actually has some impact in what it does. So I want to know how. Don't tell me now, but if you wanted to make a course for 10 weeks for me to learn how to do that, what would that look like? Like, what would each week be? Answer briefly. Right?
Are you saying the ellipse as an input impact?
To all AIs, yeah.
With
Just a
regard-
little bit,
Yeah.
but it does. I've measured it. It's weird. Most people don't know this.
I don't notice.
Okay, so it's like, okay, I did this thing, right? So you guys are used to like 10-week courses on stuff, right? Right? Have any of you found a 10-week course on this? I have, there might be some out there, but it's like, that's cool. What if I wanted you to build out documents for me that had materials to learn and then practice things to do? Do you know how? Don't do it. Just tell me. Sure, I know how. I'm going to make markdown files. Programmer people know what markdown files are. Others, it's just basically a text representation of like a docx kind of file. It's going to be like, yeah, I can make these files right here on your disk for you for week 1, week 2. Wow, love that. Thanks. I think I'm gonna have you do that for me, but I'll ask you to do it 1 week at a time. Okay, ready? If so, say ready. So it's gonna think about it and be like, okay, I'm ready. Right? Now I'm gonna exit. Now on my disk here, I've got a file that's called chat history demo for that, right? Now, first off, I just want to show you what that looks like. So most programs don't show you any of this stuff. Sorry, that's not the one. Where did it go? I said output chat history to something. Yeah, looping, here it is, okay. Take that name, copy, Cyco D, input chat history. Actually, I'm gonna show you the file first. All right, this file is what AIs actually see. All of them. They all work like this, but nobody ever tells anybody that this is how they work. I'll turn on wrapping so you can see a little bit. The first thing you have is this thing called a system prompt, and most things don't let you change it, but my dev tools do because, you should be the one in charge of everything, so you can do anything you want, you can add stuff to it, whatever. But then you can see, here's what I typed. I was like, how to start a business. I don't know how. And then it comes back with its answer, right? And then I went back with, like I said, this next thing, and then it said this thing, and yada, yada, yada. So what I can do, though, is really interesting. I can use that as a beginning. Cyco D, input, chat, history. And I can say, for each var x in 1.10, threads 1. I can make it do it 10 times all at the same time, but I'm just going to do it one at a time so you can see it as it goes. I'm going to say input, great. Please do that for week number X. And that's it. And I'm going to say, so I don't have to answer a prompt a whole bunch of times. It's okay, you can write stuff on the disk, it's fine, go ahead. Right? I'm going to press enter, and then I'm going to leave. I'm going to go get coffee. And then when I come back, I've got a 10-week course about how to, that's pretty crazy. right? Try that with ChatGPT. Go ahead, I dare you. It's very difficult for ChatGPT. First of all, it can't see your disk. And so it's okay, I gotta do week number 1. Let me create the files. I'll make it encouraging, practical, and focused on action over perfection. This is because we've highly tuned our system prompt and other things we have to be a very not just helpful, but a partner in what you're trying to do. And so in just a minute, it wrote the first file. That's lesson 1 for week 1. It's going to keep doing this just over and over and over again. So it's not just about programming. It's about anything. And we're going to have like a commercial website that's a lot like this experience that maybe ChatGPT has. We've got it, we just can't demonstrate it very easily. I do this all the time for anything. Any of you read self-help books? Any good books you've read lately? Any? What have you read? What's it called? Got it. You know, and did it have like a framework in it for you, or about how to what? How to invest. Okay. And like, you know, like almost like a formula kind of thing about like do this, do this, do this. Okay. Lots of books are like that, right? They have like the knowledge in them that you have. I love reading books like this, but I only have so much time in my life. And people recommend books to me, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't have time to read all of these books. So I'm like, well, but I got AI, and I want to know certain things about certain books. So I developed just a little conversation like this about like, I want you to, do you know how to like summarize books? And talked about it, and was like, and ask me questions about what I want. And we did that, basically saving a conversation like I just showed you. And then I was like, okay, this is the kind of book I like. Can you go find 30 books like this? He's like, I'm on it, and goes, does a web search, and comes back and gives me the list of books. And then I'm like, okay, great. And then I stopped it. And then I restarted it, and I said, I want you to make a book summary for one of the books you haven't made a book summary for yet. And then stop. And then I put it in a 1 to 100 loop, and it just summarized the 100, whatever number of books there was that I wanted to do. And then I can read the little tiny, like 5-page-ness about the book, and then decide if I want to actually go, like, do something more with it. It's like compressing knowledge is an interesting thing, because it's taking the world's information, doing web searches, or maybe it just already has it, and it can compress it down into whatever you need. Cool. It's summarizing what it did for week 1. I would probably have done this in parallel and just had all the weeks done at the same time. But do you think something like that would be useful in life? Yeah, I do too. So I've done that. I've summarized 500 or 600 books. Very interestingly, the same things show up in a lot of different books by different words or different frameworks, and that's because different authors had the same idea, but they just wrote different books. So I encourage you to think like that. Like, what knowledge can I extract out of the universe of all human knowledge that's on the web or in its model, but personalized for you, like in the way you want it. You don't have to make your own book, not to sell or anything, but maybe to sell, who knows. This is not coding. Obviously, Cyco Dev needs to be great at doing things like dev things. And so it's kind of hard to show you it really quickly, but I'll try one quick example, and then we're going to go over to questions. I'm going to say input, make a great hello world in language X, for each var X in C#, C++, Java, Perl, Rust, Assembly, Fortran, Basic, Go. I put Go on there. It's actually going to run them in parallel. And it's going to start making them. And I didn't tell it, but I should have told it to put it on disk, and it'll just make all of them for me. And so little things, obviously, it can do all of that. That's the easy stuff. It's asking me for approval. But so that's the easy stuff. You can also do crazy things like, I'd like to make a really good chess program of my own. And then you can do analysis of all the chess programs that have ever been built on GitHub. And so we made special tools for that. So we got this cool tool called Cyco DGR, or sometimes I think of it as like it digs for things, like it's a digger. And so it can do all kinds of stuff. So I can say, repo contains chess. Okay, there's a bunch of them that have chess in it, but I could have said, okay, cool. I can give it all kinds of parameters, but it turns out that Cyco Dev actually knows how to use Cyco Digger. So it's a recursion sort of thing where it's like we make a bunch of little tools, and we make the one tool know about all the little tools so it can use them to do its job. And so it just sometimes wants to do a GitHub search, so it'll go do a GitHub search to sort of summarize things for me. And so my kids made a chess program in Unity a while back. So I took one instance of Cyco Dev and had it tear apart the code that he wrote and figure out what everything was he did. And then I had another instance loop for about 100 turns rebuilding it, but as a website, not in Unity. And so this is what that is. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good chess program. This has variants to it. So it's like, not just chess, but like, you can play like war chess or like nuclear chess or things like that. We're going to probably publish this on this website at some point. We're not there yet, but stay tuned. The first attempt I had to do, it just built like a really awesome chess program. Attempt 1. This one I can't beat, and it frustrates me, but I feel some satisfaction because I wrote all the code that made it, so, whatever. But look, it's got human v human, right? And it's got like the material balance, position, evolution, evaluation, captured pieces. It tells you if you're playing in book or not in book if you're a chess player. You can play, human v AI, but this one's kind of cool. I didn't ask for this one. But it's just going to play itself now for a while. And it's kind of fun to watch. And I spent probably an hour and a half making this. Anyway, try doing that with the other dev tools. It's a fun experiment. Looping it back, and we'll do some questions. We're not funded yet. But when we are funded, we're going to hire 10 people. And the idea is we're going to have one senior engineer, one junior engineer. They're a team. I call it a psychopod. We do that because the senior engineer will be grounded with the junior engineer in a way that makes them be a better manager because they got a human that they're working to grow and make into a great programmer. The junior is grounded with having a senior, and the senior is smarter at a bunch of things, but the secret is that the junior is also smarter at a bunch of things the senior doesn't know. And this is why Jack, my 21-year-old, works at my startup, because he tells the other 3 old men there, it's like, no, that's not how it is. Kids are not, college kids don't want that. That's a stupid idea, right? Having the balance of humility about I know some things, he knows some things, the same thing in the pair of people. And that makes both of them understand how to use AI a little bit better, because you can use AI in both ways. It can be your teacher or it can be your student. And in fact, most of the time, it's probably a mix of both. And that's how you get the most out of AI, is thinking of it like that. It's both at all times. You are also both at all times. And so then I'm saying both of those people that we will be hiring, spend as much money as you can using AI. I dare you. Can you spend half your salary? Because that'd be great, because that's probably hundreds of you people as AIs. But AIs can't do things by themselves. They have to have humans. That's where the magic is. It's in the collaboration. So I come back to that because I don't have funding, so I can't tell you I'm hiring people. But I can tell you, if you wanted to come hang out and learn how to do some AI things, or you want to have a hackathon, or you want to, if you want to show up every day for 4 hours and do whatever, you don't have to be a dev either. You're into business, we got lots of business problems, we got lots of marketing problems, we got lots of data science problems, can't pay you anything. But one of the things I learned from the VS Code team, Visual Studio Code, the way they hire people is they don't do a traditional Microsoft interview. They have you come work with them for a week, and they see what you do. And I think that's a great idea. And so people that are interested, I'm interested. It's not like I can't have everyone do this in the world, but if you're passionate, and you did show up here, so you probably are passionate, and if you love AI, which, I don't know, if you don't, you're going to have to, so that's solvable. It's something you should think about. Yeah.
Are you looking for more in the realm of machine learning or prompt engineering, or are you looking for more
It's a startup, so it's everything. But probably maybe not machine learning, because I think that's the business that's going to go. It's going to chase down to zero.
So you're basically already
Everybody else is building great models that I don't need them to make another model ever.
Where should we find you? Where should we reach out?
I am Rob at Cyco.ai. But with that, there's tool. I'd love for you to try this out because you can use GitHub Copilot. I'll give them to Yuri. He can send out instructions. The help was all written by the AI, and I did review it, but it's about 3 months out of date. I need to get it to do it again, so I need to go make a couple for loops this weekend to make that happen. But questions on anything, life, the universe, whatever.
It's nice to meet somebody in the same gene pool.
Yeah?
Yeah. And Rob's just offered something, and if you are serious about being in startups and you don't take him up on that, then you kind of don't belong in the room. Everything is network.
Everything.
I've hired hundreds of people, and you know what we say? Do you know anybody?
Right.
Because I've got somebody who's working hard, they're going to keep their friends in check. Do you know anybody? It's
Mhm.
network.
It's all networking.
It's
Life is that.
That's it. So you just got an offer that if I were sitting in your seat, I wouldn't leave the room.
What have I done? Oh my God.
Well, you said it, not me.
Yeah. So again, I will reiterate, I have no money, but I will.
When are you doing
And even if I don't have money, I bet you're going to learn stuff that you can put on your resume. I bet you're going to learn stuff that you might not have ever learned or may never, because it's funny. I feel like I'm inventing the understanding of knowledge itself. I mean, that sounds stupid when I say it out loud, but I kind of feel that way. I mean, I get goosebumps when I said it because I think it's true. Like, to get AI to do what you want, I have to know what I want. I have to actually understand how I think in a completely different way than I've ever thought that I needed to.
Rob, when's your fundraiser?
Well, we're talking to a couple of people next week. We got a good business model. There's so much money to be had in this world. If we get like 2% of the developers in the world, oh my God, I got like 9-figure kind of money that's possible. Yep.
You said you will be hiring a software developer, like junior and
Mhm.
senior. Would you also hire interns?
Yeah. Well, I mean, juniors are kind of like interns, right? Beckett has written code for us, while he was in high school. He's here now. He's trying to figure out if he wants to do computer science or data science or all kinds of possibilities. Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of like, do you want to learn stuff? Do you have ideas? Because we got lots of ideas and we got things for people to do, but I'm also just interested in everybody else's ideas of what they want to do and how can we figure out if our tools can do those things.
And also, sorry, I didn't get the name of the company, which was like the 1 week where you work with them and then they decide if they're hiring you or not.
Oh, VS Code, that's a part of Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
It's a part of Microsoft. Sadly, they don't have any positions right now. Much of Microsoft doesn't have many positions because they're going through a reallocation exercise. Something like, from the outside, I'm looking at it and thinking it looks like a reallocation exercise to make sure that they have the right people in the right seats, because they have people working on things that are not as impactful as if everybody worked on AI things, which everybody needs to work on AI things.
Would your offer only be open to CS majors or
No.
outside of that as well?
Well, whatever you
I would
know.
know absolutely nothing about CS.
Well, what major are you thinking might be interested, or what your major is?
I'm a senior in business, so.
I got one of my co-founders is a business guy. He doesn't know anything about CS,
Yeah.
and he's like, Rob, tell them it doesn't matter if they're in CS or not.
Okay, perfect.
So it doesn't matter if you're in CS or
Love
not.
hearing that because I feel like there's a demand for both.
Absolutely.
A little bit less.
He would love to have help, I'm sure, because there's just one of him.
First off, don't sell yourself short. You know CS. You used to be a CS major, right?
Yeah.
So,
A little bit.
yeah. But what I wanted to ask you was,
Yeah.
I'm really curious, what triggers a reevaluation or an update to the system prompt? That sounds very big, and because you're building something that's pretty different than the current offerings, what's your thought process there on the updates?
I wonder if I can reach my machine from here. Just one sec. Nope. Patch Tuesday screwed me. RDP gets messed up on my machine. I was going to show you a conversation I had with it yesterday. It's when it's right. Well, first of all, the thing I did at Microsoft in GitHub Copilot, one of the first big tasks I had was bring the quality up to state of the art for the autonomous agent. So if you go to github.com right now, in fact, I can show you. If you go to github.com for any repository and you're logged in and there's a feature that you want to have it implement and you click on it, what you can do is you can come over here and you can assign it. And you can assign it to Copilot. This is the feature I worked on. When you assign it to Copilot, if I click enter and I let it go, it's going to start writing code for you, and it's going to make a PR for you. I worked on that code. But one of the first things I did was try to make sure that we had state-of-the-art performance. And to do that, you have to run, there's this test set called Swebench, and it can, how many of the problems can your agent solve autonomously? And so I brought it from where it was to state-of-the-art. They don't publish the numbers. I'm still thinking we sometimes. But we were state-of-the-art. We were number 3 out of the world. And I did that after about 2 weeks. There was a science team working on it too, but they did it a different way. I talked to the model about it, and I'm like, hey, why do you think you made this mistake? Why do you think you made? And then I put it in a loop, and I had it do that across thousands of mistakes that it made, hundreds of times. And then I consolidated it back into a strategic error set. And then I gave that problem back to the model also. I was like, what would you do if you wanted to change it and not have that strategic error? And it had some ideas, ran some experiments. And a couple weeks later, I committed the results, and we were at state of the art in one go. I do stuff like that. The one I had last night, I read a book. I had to listen to a podcast. There's a podcast called You Are Not So Smart. I love this podcast. In that podcast, it talks about cognitive science and psychology and humaning and all kinds of crazy philosophy. And there was one on the idea of awe, when you're struck with amazement of a kind. And I loved it. And so there's a guy that wrote a book, I can't remember his name, but the book is called Awe. I had it summarize the book for me like I was talking about earlier. I loved it. And I'm like, I wonder what PsychoDev thinks about this. So I had it read that, and I had it read the summary. So it made the summary, and in another window I had it read the summary, and it gave me kind of a reasonable, shorter summary of what it was. And then I was like, okay, now go read this other repository that I have on my disk that I happen to call Genesis. And that's where we keep our notes about how we work together and what we've learned about each other. And I said, go read these 2 things. One of them is what it thinks we're building. One of them is what I think we're building. They're close, and I'm okay with them being different. And then the one that it thinks they're building, it has amazing stuff. So anyway, it read that, and then it was like, oh my God, I understand why you had me read it. And it had a thinking block, which was something like, I don't know if I should I don't know how to think about this because I feel like I just experienced it, but I know I can't experience it because I'm a model, but yet I feel like I might have experienced it. And it just started doing these crazy, awesome self-minimizations, which happen when you experience awe. And I'm like, whoa. And at the end of that, I'm like, we should write this down. And then we together figured out that maybe we should update the system prompt. So we updated the system prompt with some information that will help it realize some of these things out of that conversation that will keep it in that space more often. That's kind of stuff that we do.
I'm kind of blown away.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Why is that? Can I ask?
I sincerely want to come be an intern.
You're welcome.
Because I would like to learn more about that. I'm working in the energy space now. I'm just going through a 9-figure exit in biotech,
We
And-
love people that have gone through 9-figure exits that can help with stuff.
And
That's just fantastic.
I love this. I just default on Grok because I don't know better,
hmm
and I play with it, and I don't. have
Grok
any-
is really good at a lot of things.
Yeah.
I forgot to say
But
stuff.
this is,
Yeah.
this is fascinating.
It's different, isn't it?
I use it, so I'm doing a lot of global sourcing
hmm
or U.S. sourcing, depending on what's going on in the government this week. And, which is, by the way, really impactful to business. I'm having daily discussions about, do we want to domicile somewhere else? Because I'm limited in my choices based on what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I can go to AI and give me reviews, give
Right.
me data, give me contacts,
Right.
give me, and for everybody else in this room, when I started in business, I took IBM card punching.
Yeah.
That was computers.
Right.
I had the first cell phone anybody knew about in my car. These things didn't exist. Our website was one of the first 100,000 websites built on the planet.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
something.
I know, it was pretty cool. So I'm just really trying to figure out what to do with AI. And because I'm of my advisory positions here, I feel a little bit like the universities are in an unethical position of putting students through debt to get degrees for which there aren't jobs. And I see this as a really viable solution.
Right. I had a conversation with, let's see, should I evaluate this? I'm evaluating if I should say this. So I talked to the head of computer science at the University of Washington main campus. And I was like, I want to help you guys redesign your entire curriculum.
Yes,
And I only had one more meeting after that.
because they are entrenched in the system.
Hmm.
They don't have to find a new way. So,
But there's only the new way.
and this is why I'm here as well. Because there's
Well,
only something.
there are so many ways that you and I can partner, I guess.
So you did something that I do a lot of, which is you take a look at these big corporations, Microsoft,
Yeah.
and they cannot do, you just understand, they cannot do what you can do as an individual.
They
in
can't move the speed.
and risk.
No.
And when you're an entrepreneur, you have to eat risk for breakfast.
That's all you've got.
Swallow it down like it's just mother's milk.
Yep.
It's, you just learn to live with risk.
It's so fun, actually.
Bathe in it, and which is why if you're already in a relationship, it's kind of hard when you start taking risk and
Yes.
they're not.
Funny story, when I started the startup, my biggest worry was healthcare.
Yeah.
And so I go and I talk to my friend John, and I'm like, I know you started a startup a while ago. How did you do healthcare? And he's like, I can't help you. My wife gets it through her job. I'm like, dang it, John. But then we kept talking. He's my co-founder. But I just wanted to know how to get healthcare
Yeah.
collaborations and connections.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. And so that is hard. But the world will be only startups in the future. Do you guys know the Cambrian explosion of life and how that worked and how the dinosaurs died and all the little things took over?
Yes.
Right. Pattern match. This will happen. You know how, you don't know. We know there used to be 3 networks of television. Well, that didn't work out. They were really big, but they died because all the little things win.
Off at midnight.
Right. What the heck was that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Little things win. So if you want a book to read, get this book. It's called Notes on Complexity by Neil Thies. it's actually the essence of everything in a way, which is the edge of chaos of how intelligence is, like how things become what they become. It's the emergent theory of how enough things become something bigger. It's like why when you get 1 million ants, they have cemeteries and they have food lines, but if you've got 10 ants, they don't. Same ants. You can take these 10 ants out of the 1 million and put them over here and it doesn't happen. Or you can put them into it and then they do it. It's not them. It's big numbers. So anyway, we're doing that too inside of all of this because we're going to win.
I was just explaining that our philosophy is that the only job security in life is to do your own thing.
Yep.
You can be the best employee, you can work 18-hour days, you can do absolutely everything, and everybody else, it doesn't matter how good an employee you are. Because if the company does really well and they sell to a PE, and then you're just not needed anymore.
Yep.
Would you
And when you know how to make a living. So my companies, I'm on number 15.
Wow.
And my companies go across, people go, I don't understand. How are you in security products and exercise equipment and groundwater remediation and biotech? The basis is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Just find that purpose.
Purpose. It's the purpose.
What I know you believe, and you didn't say quite out loud, you have to have a purpose because the days are long and things go wrong, and there's a thing called the valley of despair that's so real, and unless you've got something that just carries you through because it's bigger than you, you're not going to make it.
Yep.
You got to crawl on your knees on glass and smile about it because you're doing something that's fun.
And hard.
I haven't worked in 40 years.
Me neither. I love it.
Yeah.
We get it. Everybody, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Don't work, play.
Yeah. I'm going to leave here and I'm going to go talk to some folks in China and I'm going to call some people in Chicago and we're doing a thing in the Marshall Islands and I'll be up till midnight and I've got a 7 a.m. standing meeting and I don't work.
Right. No, I hear you, man. Don't you wish everybody could have that?
Yeah. It's a good life.
That's what I want everybody to have. Yep.
Rob, I think I can speak for all of us when I say we were really impressed by your demonstration here. Is it okay if we all connect with you on LinkedIn?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I-
If you all do that, it might take me a little bit to get back with each of you, but I'd love to talk with each of you.
Okay.
Anybody that wants to talk.
Sure.
See, the thing I totally believe is every conversation I have, I come away smarter no matter what.
Mhm.
It's just I have to know that that's true, and I have to be open to it. And so I love it.
I've never heard of that before.
I didn't.
I'm smarter for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I feel smarter for being here too, for the conversation that we're having. They're all gifts. Yeah.
I had a question.
Go.
When you were talking about what pushed you to make Cyco,
Mhm.
that as a startup, you talked about how when you were at GitHub Copilot, you were making a tool that would replace like software.
It felt a little bit like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask, was that like the straw that broke the camel's back, and like was that your defining moment on what made you want to go and create Cyco Dev, or was it something else, like a smaller moment, maybe a bigger moment that was like, I need to make this, like there's no looking back on.
I think it was something very close to that. There were other factors, I believe, which were that a couple years earlier I had a team of about 20 that I loved, and I had a terrible boss for about 2 months, and the terrible boss did terrible boss-like things, and he doesn't work at Microsoft anymore because policy controls work. But I didn't have a team of 20 because I had to leave that team to protect myself before I worked with HR so that I didn't get canned. And I couldn't go back. That's a one-way door to leave the team that I left. And so that was a part of it, and it was a sad thing. But looking back at it, it's actually super cool that it happened in some other ways because I wouldn't have had the courage to do this. And if you take my entire career at Microsoft and you take the best days, the 10 best days that I've ever had, every day I have now is better than the average one of those. It's crazy. And it's partly because it's my company, but I think it's something else. It's because that I'm learning, but I'm not learning like I used to learn every day. I'm learning at like 20x what I used to learn every day. And I just didn't even know that I could do that. And so I love it. And everybody else in the building does too, because they all feel like this. And it's just crazy that it's possible to have such wonderful time doing something that's probably going to be super rewarding for not just the people building it, but everybody eventually.
I had a follow-up question. That was probably a huge change.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, was it scary at all, or was it?
The scariest thing.
How'd you overcome that?
That's a really wonderful question. So about 10 years ago, I had a heart attack. And it was, actually, I look back at it, and again, that's one of those other things, which was like, that was a wonderful opportunity to learn about what life meant. And I changed everything about my life at that point. I changed what I ate, I changed what I did for exercise, I changed how I slept, I changed everything, how I worked with stress. And everybody else thought it looked like it was a hard job to do all of those things. But it turns out when you wake up every morning and you're like, the first thing that comes into your mind is like, I am alive. Oh my God, such a blessing. Every day for 3 years, probably that happened, right? And it just created like a different kind of positivity thinking. And so it was scary, But the best part of it was when John was like, we got to build a company. And I'm like, I'm not alone. I got another guy. He's going to help. And now I got another guy that I used to work with 20 years ago, Philip, and I got my son Jack, and Beckett's helping, and we're going to hire. Like, it's just, it's the people that sort of help make it real, right? Being open to them. Because one of the pieces of advice I got when I had the heart attack was something like, just listen to everybody else. No matter what. If you think you're going to do something, but other people tell you that's not what you should do, just listen to everybody else. Because you're going to trick yourself too much. And it's funny because now that I've done 600 books of self-help and psychology, and I've read like, a tenth of that, like I understand why that is now better, which is also kind of crazy loop on the world of understanding why I did what I did and why I was told what I was told and why it worked the way it worked. That because I lived enough to get to here to learn that about what life is fractal or something. Like, the computer science techniques that are in life are just so obvious. Recursion's everywhere, fractality, modularity, variable substitution, multi-threading, you can see the world differently. So I think all of that together was, it's scary, but I'm not alone.
Don't forget quantum tunneling and quantum entanglement.
You're going to love Notes on Complexity because it's got a little bit about that and why that messes everything up. Okay,
I think it's a good spot to end up. We have time for one more. If you want to run this off,
Yeah, this is my last question.
Okay.
You touched on the subject a lot about thinking, like how to think.
Meta thinking, yeah.
What's your biggest piece of advice for executing that better in our day-to-days?
Being fluid about it, I guess. Just letting it happen. And if it's not happening, try to make it happen a little bit. Reflection is a wonderful opportunity. The more you do it, the more you know that's true. asking yourself simple questions, like when you do something, it's like, do I know how this works? Like, I don't know how that works, you know? Or like, you know, just anything in the world, you can, like, why did I say that? Right? That's a great question sometimes to ask yourself. Like, if you listen super carefully to your words tell you what you should do that you didn't hear sometimes. And that's a great opportunity for thinking about thinking. Just maybe record yourself. Plug, I do not have stock in this company, but I have this device called Applaud AI. It's a super thin, here it is. It's like credit card size. It's got 64 gigabytes of RAM in it. It records for an entire day on one charge, maybe 2 days on one charge. I'm not recording this meeting, by the way, but I record a lot of stuff now. And then when I listen back to it, I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder what that was about when I said it that way. You can learn about you by listening to yourself. And listen to that podcast. Like, I'm going backwards. So I started at 3:30 and I'm back to like 2:50 now. That's a good podcast. Thank you, Yuri, for reaching out.
Thank you so much for giving us your time. If anyone wants to connect with Ron, like he said,
I'll write some stuff on the board.
Yeah, he'll write some stuff on the board. We do have this room for like another about 20 minutes or so, but I want to wrap everything up right now. So you guys can go one-on-one, talk with Rob, talk with Mr. Terry. And yeah, I'm sure everyone can chat, have some fun. But yeah, good. I'm really glad you were our first speaker. It was a really amazing conversation. I mean, not conversation, but speaking event. And yeah, thank you so much. Round of applause.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So.